Good day everyone. Today I'm going to discuss and present my PowerPoint presentation about Chapter 4, which is Ancient Greece during 1900 to 133 BC. How did the Greeks shape our culture? Ancient Greece was one of the first important civilizations in Europe. The classical era during the 5th and 6th century BC saw the country to reach its apogee, and this particular period has a tremendous influence on Western culture. Here are some ways that Greek changed the world. First, in the world of arts. One of the many fields in which ancient Greece has a deep influence with arts. The first to develop this concept of aesthetic beauty, ancient Greeks created spectacular sculpture that have inspired artists from the Renaissance until today. Greek mythology was a major source of inspiration for many European painters, which depict the many tales and myths in their works. Next is in the form of government. Divided into city-state, ancient Greece has been a source of inspiration for many political systems, as we know today. Democracy was invented in Athens and was unique in the sense that every citizen or the reigning males had the right to vote and speak at the assembly where laws and decisions were made. Next is architecture. Ancient Greek architecture has influenced many architectural styles of today. The use of columns and pediments, for example, is a direct legacy from ancient Greeks and is omnipresent in modern-day public buildings such as parliament buildings, museums, and even memorials. They also influenced the world of sports. Did you know that Greeks gave us the Olympic? The phenomenal sporting competition that we know today was actually invented around 776 BC and held every 4 years in Olympia in Peloponnese. These games lasted for over 1,000 years before they were abolished when Christianity reached in Greece. Another visible legacy in the world of sport is the marathon. Next is literature. As far as literature is concerned, the ancient Greeks were the first to create complex literature, which still influences us to this day. One of the oldest literature style is poetry, and more specifically epic poetry, mostly used to depict the story of a hero. The oldest surviving epic poetry works are the Iliad and the Odyssey, written by Homer roughly around 800 BC. Next is the also Greek influences the world of sciences. Ancient Greeks had a lot of time on their hands when they not involved in war. They had the time to think about and observe the universe and everything surrounding them. As such, ancient Greek scientists made significant discoveries in numerous fields such as geometry, astronomy, mathematics, and even medicine. First is we're going to explore the early civilization in Greece. During the 3rd millennium BC, the island of Greece was home of the most advanced civilization in Europe. Although Minoan Crete was not Greek, did not have influence on the first Greek state. The story of a Greek-speaking Indo-European people may move into Greece around 1900 BC. The Mycenaeans provided the inspiration of Homer's epics and paved the way for the political and cultural development of Greece in the 1st millennium BC. Next is the impact of geography. The mountains divided Greece led to the cultural political division between Greeks. However, this linked in Greece to the rest of the world. The mountain that divided Greece led to cultural and political division between Greeks. Geography played an important role in development of Greek civilization compared with the land masses of Mesopotamia and Egypt. Greece occupied a small area. It consists of a mountainous peninsula, numerous islands that encompasses about 50 square miles or about 129,500 square kilometers of territory, about the size of the state of Lusitania. The mountains and the sea played especially significant roles in the development of Greek history. The mountains, the land of the Greeks full of mountains, two peninsula make up much of the Greek landmass. peninsula, this is a piece of land that is almost entirely surrounded by water, but in one side it's connected from the mainland. The ancient Greeks believed that their gods lived at the top of the mountain Olympus. Much of the Greece consists of small plains and rivers valleys, surrounded by high mountain ranges from 8,000 to 10,000 feet or 2,430 438 to 3,884-meter high. This mountain isolated Greeks from one another, causing different Greek communities to develop their own way of living. So, nagkabuwag-buwag ang Greek communities, causing sa communities to develop their own way of living. Over the period of time, this community became fairly independent. This independent community encouraged by political affairs. On the other hand, this rivalry between this community brought to warfare and devastated Greek society. Seas also influenced the evolution of Greek society. The Aegean, Mediterranean, and Ionian seas make up the eastern, southern, and western borders. The Greek first settled in Aegean seas. The people of Greece used the Aegean to travel city to city. And also, the Aegean provided fish for the people to feed. The Greek also lived in a number of islands to coast west and south of the Greek mainland surrounded by water, and it's very clear that the Greeks became seafarer. The Greeks sailed out to the Aegean Seas, Mediterranean Sea, and Black Sea, making contact with the outside world. But later, they established several colonies that spread Greek civilization throughout the Mediterranean world. So now we are going to know the Minoans and Mycenaean civilization. The Mycenaeans created the first Greek civilization. First is the Minoan civilization. Arthur Evans, an English archaeologist who first discovered the civilization, named it after King Minos, the legendary king of Crete. Kay ang structure were similar to the labyrinth that the King Minos was said to have built. Minoans spent much of their time trading to the Mediterranean Sea. At the beginning of 20th century, Arthur Evans discovered an enormous place complex Crete at Knossos. The remains of this complex revealed that a rich culture with Knossos, a center of far-ranging sea empire based in trade. The ship of the Minoan took them to Egypt as well as southern Greece. At the palace of Knossos, Arthur Evans discovered evidence of Linear B, the oldest surviving writing in the Greek dialect known as Mycenaean. Evans wrote about Europe's earliest literature civilization where he wrote the clay archives found in the palace of Knossos and elsewhere have proved that the prehistoric Cretan had already 1,000 years before the appearance of the first written record of the classical Greece passed through every stage in the evolution of highly developed system of script. There is evidence of a simple pictographic stage that a conventionalized hieroglyphic system growing out of it, according to Arthur Evans. They traded finely crafted pottery and gold and silver jewelry from Crete for another goods. Trade also helped the Minoans improve the goods they produced. They drew inspiration from techniques and design from objects from other lands. The center of Minoan civilization in Crete suffered a catastrophic collapse around 1450 BC. Some historian nga giingon nga ang nag-cause sa pag-collapse is tidal wave trigger sa powerful volcanic eruption sa islands of Terra na na nag-cause of devastation and most historian nag-iingon na the devastation is the result of inhibition na sa mainland Greek as that called Mycenaean. Next is Mycenaean. Mycenae, the first Greek state. Mycenaean came from Mycenae, a purified site on the Greek mainland that was first discovered by the German archaeologist Henry Schliemann. Mycenae was the center in a Mycenaean Greek civilization that flourished between 1600 BC and 1100 BC. Mycenaeans were the first people to be considered Greek. Mycenaean Greek were part of the Indo-European family people who spread into Europe and Asia. One of this group entered Greece around 1900 BC and gradually gained control of the Greek mainland. Mycenaean civilization, which reached its high point between 1400 BC and 1200 BC, was made up of powerful monarchies. The Mycenaeans were, above all, a warrior people who provided themselves on their heroic deeds in the battle. Mycenaean wall murals often show war and hunting scenes, which are the natural occupation of a warrior aristocracy. Some archaeological evidence also indicates that at the time, Mycenaean monarchies developed an extensive commercial network. Mycenaean pottery has been found throughout the Mediterranean Sea in Syria and Egypt to the east and Sicily and southern Italy to the west. Mycenaean took over Crete and they became a major trade in the eastern Mediterranean. By the late 13th century BC, Mycenaean Greece was showing signs of serious trouble. Mycenaean state nagkaaway-away sila and major earthquake caused widespread damage. During 12th century BC, new waves of Greek-speaking invaders moved sa Greece from gikan sa north by 1000 BC and now the Mycenaean civilization has collapsed. Next, we will get to know the Minoan Mycenaeans and their differences and similarities in civilization. The Minoan and Mycenaean play an important role of ancient Greek history as the two different civilizations helped ancient Greece. Now, after the collapse of Mycenaean civilization during 1200 BC, the Greeks entered a difficult period in which a population ni decline and then nagka-shortage sa food nila, nagka-cause sa food production drop. Now, according to historians, called the period from approximately 1100 BC to 750 BC, it's called the Dark Age because of a few records of what happened exist. Now, during the Dark Age, many Greeks left the mainland and sailed across the Aegean Sea to various islands. Many went to the western shores of Asia Minor, a strip of territory that came to be called Ionia or Ionian Greece. In modern day this they call Turkey. So nagkabuwag-buwag sila, ang uban giadto sa Aegean Sea, ang uban giadto sa Asia, went to shore sa Asia Minor. Two major groups of Greeks settled in established part of Greece. The Aeolian Greeks of northern and central Greece colonized the large island of Lesbos and the territory near the mainland, while the Dorians established themselves in southwestern Greece, especially in Peloponnese, as well as some of the southern Aegean islands, including Crete. During the Dark Age, there was a revival or pagkabanhaw at some trade and some economic activity. At some point, iron replaced bronze weaponry, making weapons affordable for more people. Iron farming tools help reverse na sa pagdecline sa ila food production. So, daho kay nakatabang ang iron farming tools kay na banhaw nila ang food production, which is nga decline na agsugod. Now, ang farming continued to flourish. The Greeks innovate farming is very important works para nila in order to survive para makatabang para nila na innovate, and they came up to the plan na nagamit sila mga machinery para madali or ma-convenient ang ila work na gamitan para nila. Then they were also become ang mga machinery nga nagpadali sa ilang trabaho. Pareha nato, we are adapting sa mga machinery nga para mapadali or convenient ang mga trabaho. Some of arts from the Dark Age has survived, giving us the most of like during the period. The first photo is the griffin head design and pottery, as well as that is formed as well in Southwest Asia. Next, a statue shows a traveling musician and storyteller that bard like Homer. Next is amphora or two-handled jar geometric pottery. Next is Homer, poet of the Dark Age. The Iliad and Odyssey were the first great epic poems of early Greece. An epic poem is a long poem that tells the deeds of a great hero. The Iliad and the Odyssey were based on a story that had been passed from generation to generation. Both poems are hundreds of pages, but that they tried to preserve the entire account of history as earlier oral poets did. Homer used stories of the Trojan War to compose the Iliad and Odyssey. The war is caused by Paris, a prince of Troy, by kidnapping Helen, the wife of the king of the Greek, who is Menelaus. In the Greek state at Sparta outrages all the Greeks. Under the leadership of Spartan king brother King Agamemnon, the Greeks attacked Troy. 10 years later, the Greeks devised a plan to take the city. They tricked the Trojan by building a huge hollow wooden horse. The best Mycenaean soldier ang nakangindot ang mga Mycenaean soldier hide inside the horse, while the rest of the board ships are pretend to sail away. The joyful Trojan thinking themselves victorious kay ang mga Greek kay bring sa kay nihatagan sila og gift sa mga Greeks na mauto ang hollow wooden horse. That night, Greek gripped out of the horse and slaughtered the Trojan men, enslaved the women and children, and brought the city to the ground. The Iliad is not so much the story of the war itself, however, it is the tale of the Greek hero Achilles and how the anger of Achilles led to disaster. Kaning picture is the Helen of Troy. Kaning 2003 na movie series sa British American television miniseries based upon Homer's story of Trojan, recorded in the epic poem Iliad. You can watch it these movies in YouTube. Nga dito mahibaw ninyo ning usa sa mga Greek pag pagkuan ang mga warrior sa Trojan pagsuod nila atong Trojan The Odyssey recounts the journey of the one of the Greek heroes, Odysseus, after the fall of Troy and his ultimate return to his wife. It has long been considered Homer's other masterpiece. Some scholars believe that it was composed later than the Iliad. Homer proved to be a great value of the later Greeks. He did not so much record history, he created it. The Greeks looked on the Iliad and Odyssey as true history and as the works of one poet. Homer, this masterpiece, gives the Greeks an ideal past with a cast of heroes. The epic came to be used as basic text for the education of generation to Greek males. Uh, One ancient Athenian stated that my father was anxious to see me develop into a good man, and as a means to this end, he compelled a memoir of all of Homer. The values Homer taught were courage and honor. Our hero strived for excellence, which the Greeks called arete. Arete is won in a struggle or contest. Through his willingness to fight, the hero protect his family and friends, preserve his own honor and that of his family, and earn his reputation. Homer gave to later generation of Greek males as a model of heroism and honor. For example, in an exciting description of men marching to war, the Iliad taught students to be proud of their Greek heritage and the action of their heroic ancestor.